We have to, well, first
So-
of all, I can just remind you.
In version 5.0, we've added a new dashboard. The first one we added was the My Summary dashboard in version 4.9. So in QuoteWerks, if you look at the top, there's actually a dashboard icon. So the dashboard is a great place to go for a rep, at least the My Summary is for rep-wise, to see kind of like a summary of how your documents are doing. QuoteWerks kind of where you are with your documents. The first thing you're going to see is the quota for this month. This is set under Utilities, User Maintenance, and then there's a Sales tab. So if you click on QuoteWerks, if you go to Utilities, User Maintenance, and then the Sales tab, there's actually an option to set a quota. It's only going to be monthly, so if you set quotas as an annual or every 6 months, you'll just have to do the math to figure out what the monthly breakdown would be for that. Here it's going to display your quotes and your orders for this month, last month, and 2 months ago. So give you kind of like a nice little snapshot, kind of see what's going on with your quotes, if there's any patterns going on, or kind of seeing how you're doing, just making sure you're kind of keeping up with it. This is important, and this will kind of become a recurring theme for the rest of the day, that when you have quotes, you want to convert them to orders at minimum, because that's how we close the quote in QuoteWerks. That's how we update the opportunity in the CRM or PSA. So if you're not currently doing that, that is kind of like a best practice of QuoteWerks, is convert your quotes to orders or convert them to loss. Convert them to something so they're not just sitting out there. Below, you'll see you have recent documents. These are your top or your last 8, I believe, recent documents that you worked on. So any modification you made, if you saved a document, if you made a change, if you created a new one and then saved it, these are going to be the most recent documents here. You'll see they are hyperlinked, so you can actually click on it and open it from QuoteWerks. So as a rep, if you click on your dashboard and you want to view the last document you worked on, you can actually click on the hyperlink and that'll open up the document for you. The quotes expiring within the next 7 days is going to display any quotes that you have that are expiring within the next week. So this will also be hyperlinked, so if you do have any quotes that are expiring, you'll actually be able to click on them just like this, and I'll open up that document in QuoteWerks. Very useful, so you can follow up on them before they do expire, or if you need to extend the expiration for the customer, you can do that also. For you ConnectWise and AutoTask users, the notifications panel on the right-hand side will display any opportunities you've created in ConnectWise or AutoTask with a specific status. So if you set a status of like needs quote or something like that, you can actually set it up in QuoteWerks where that opportunity will populate a notifications here on your dashboard, and that way you can actually open this opportunity in QuoteWerks and view any items that have been associated with it, and then actually re-quote that or quote it initially to the customer. So it's a really nice feature to have if you're talking to a customer and you just create an opportunity for that customer because you don't have time to get into QuoteWerks, you're doing a million things. You can say, okay, here's the opportunity, I need to create a quote for this. You can set a specific status that you flagged in QuoteWerks, and then the next time you come into QuoteWerks and you click on your dashboard, this notification will show up here. And you can see, in this case, since I'm integrated with ConnectWise, I can actually create a quote for this ConnectWise opportunity. Works the same way with AutoTask. It would just say create a quote for AutoTask opportunity instead. Not yet. We are looking to expand the other ones, but right now it's just going to be ConnectWise and AutoTask. The Opportunities dashboard is new in 5.0. So this is going to drill down even further than the My Summary on your quotes and documents in QuoteWerks. So the first thing that you're going to see is your user. By default, it's going to default to you, but if you click on the drop down, you can actually select other users. If you do not see other users here, that means you do not have access to view another user's documents. So this is using security settings based on, in QuoteWerks, based on if you have document privileges to another user's documents. So if you do not have access to their documents, they will not show up here. So for my user, I can actually change the range. And you can see I have different dates. By default, I think we show this month, last month, and this year to date, I believe. There's a few other ones that I can show you once we get to the Access tab where you can unlock the other date ranges. So if you want to give your users access to more date ranges here, you can do that. The forecast for selected period, this is going to show you your open documents during this date range. So whatever you have set here, this will show me my open documents. So right now I have 3 open quotes for this month. And if I click on the open option, this will actually open up my open window and I can see those 3 documents. So if I need to make a change or follow up with them, you can get to them right from that window. Same thing with closed. If I wanted to see the quotes that closed, I can click on the closed and it would actually show me, hey, these are my closed quotes for this month. And it'll also show you your percentage as well as the dollar value for those. On the right, you'll see your top 5 closed won in the period. This is going to be for this selected date range again. So everything that you have, this date range is going to be for everything in here. So you can see these are all hyperlinked. So if I want to view this specific document, you can see I can actually open that document. And because that one was for 27 grand, maybe that's the one I want to view, and maybe I want to copy it or resend it to the customer. Maybe they need to copy their receipt or something like that. You can see that information here. You can also see your top 5 open quotes. So this is a nice feature to have. You can say, hey, I've got a really large project or a really large opportunity that I want to quote on, and I need to stay on top of it. If it's a really large one, if it's in the top 5 for your date range, it'll actually show up here, so you can say, okay, you know, this is one that I need to really stay on top on. Your top 5 lost opportunities, when you convert a quote to lost, so if you click on File, Convert to Lost Sale, that'll change the status to lost in QuoteWerks, and that'll make it a lost opportunity in QuoteWerks. And then this will actually show any documents here. But that'll let you see any lost opportunities you have. So if you need to revisit that opportunity or just see kind of you know, any trends, you'll be able to view that information.
What's the dollar value there? Because I'm looking at ours. There's no dollar value. How many quotes? There's no dollar value. How does the dollar value? Why would it?
Yeah, because this is just calculating from the document the grand total.
I see that part.
Yeah, mine was 0.2. Go down.
Let me, on our next break, I'll grab one of the tech guys and I'll ask them. Yeah, because it should just be based off the, is it only in the open up section? All of them.
The small text, it says 3 quotes, that's it. The other ones.
I'll have to look at that, on the next break, see what's going on there. Not sure. Your top 5 products won in the period, this one's done by quantity, so it'll show you how many of a specific item you've sold, basically by the most to the least, or the top 5. And then same thing, the top 5 products won in the period, but by dollar value, so the ones that are the that you sell the most of, you'll see those here as well. If you click on one of them, it'll actually open up the quote that it was in, or the multiple quotes that it was in, if it was in more than one, so you can actually view those specific documents. So if you say, oh, you know, I quoted out this customer, I want to see all the documents it was in, you can click on the hyperlink and it'll open up to that document.
Is it also view every quote in the company?
Yes, not from this screen, but if you go to the open window, you can view all the documents that have been
I
created.
mean, in this summary dashboard, can you see the entire company, not just one person?
Not yet, that's something that they're looking at.
That'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, that one comes up a lot, so. Yeah, you mean like setting the user to all?
Yeah, so the manager will just look at it and say, oh, let's see, what's the best product?
Yes, very common feature requests on it, yeah. I know that's probably, that one's soon, that one should be fairly easy to add. The quota preselected period, this will show you the closed one for the month or for whatever selected range you've set. If you've exceeded your quota, it'll show you by how much, and it'll show you what your quota is set for the period. And then it'll give you a summary of each quarter. You can go back, so if you wanted to see what it was for the 4th quarter of 2014, you can see that information. Same thing for if you want to see this one, or you just click on current, it'll bring you to the current quota, and you can see your dollar amount, quota amount, the quota delta, you know, how much over or under it was, how many you had left open from that month, how many you lost for that month, and then the same thing for how much you was open for that month. So you'll see all that information there. And you'll get quarter totals, and then you also get the year-to-date totals, so you actually see it kind of as your reps are going through.
Where did you set the quotas for the reps?
That's under Utilities, User Maintenance, and then edit a user, and then click on the Sales tab.
Okay.
You use the word opportunity, that's only if you save it as an opportunity. It's
Um,
not all quotes.
That's a good question. It is all quotes, actually.
It is all quotes.
Yeah, so
Not
we-
just- so a gold mine, a quote can be quote, an opportunity is another.
Right. In QuoteWerks, we consider a quote an opportunity.
Okay. So this is all quotes?
Correct. So the opportunities dashboard, it is a really nice place to go if you need to kind of see how you're doing for the month or for a specific time period. Also just to access any kind of documents. You know, if you know that you had a really large sale last month and there's another customer looking for something similar and you want to see what you quoted them, you can easily get that information by just clicking on these hyperlinks. So it just makes it kind of navigating your documents a little simpler. If you're using Quote Valet, you can get to the Quote Valet dashboard from here as well. You'll see there's the option for the Quote Valet dashboard. You can also get to the Quote Valet dashboard by clicking on this Quote Valet icon on your toolbar. So those are the two ways to get there. We'll go into Quote Valet here in a little bit, but next we're actually going to go into saving the documents in QuoteWerks.
Quotes and Quote Valet are isolated from non-Quote Valet quotes. In other words, Quote Valet opportunities don't show up in the opportunity.
Correct. Yeah, because you may not send every document out via Quote. Okay, so we're going to go to saving our documents in QuoteWerks. Obviously, the save button is where you're going to save the document, so that's pretty straightforward. One thing to keep in mind is the save is the trigger for the integration with your CRM or PSA. So when you're ready to create that opportunity in your CRM or PSA, the save is going to be the trigger for that. Now there's going to be a couple caveats. One, you're going to need to have some items on your document. Two, you're also going to have the contact selected. So typical workflow for a document in QuoteWerks is select your contact, build your quote, and then you can save it, and then we'll write the information into the opportunity into the CRMs. That's where we're going to go next. That's going to be the next step, is working on the contact management stuff. So I'm not going to actually save this yet because we're going to do each one that you guys are using. But that's just important to know for your use and for anyone else that you might be working with. When you're using QuoteWerks, when you're ready to send the information from QuoteWerks to your CRM, the save is essentially the trigger. It's also where we're going to apply the document name and the document number. You don't have to keep track of the document number. We're going to do that automatically in QuoteWerks, and we recommend you just let us do that. That way you don't have to keep track of it. This is also where we set that status of the document. So if you remember before in that options window, we set the status for open. This is where that's going to be set. You can change that manually here if you need to. So maybe for this quote, it's already been accepted, or you just need to requote something out, so you want to call it requoted or something, you can do that. This is also where you can edit the project number. So if you send out a quote to a customer, and maybe it has different phases or different options, you can assign them the same project number. That way you can run a report on QuoteWorks on that project number to see which quotes have been saved, which ones have been converted to orders, how much revenue is brought in, that kind of thing. So that's what the project number can be useful if you want to run any kind of reporting on that information.
You say goal money there, you can create an opportunity check forecast. The opportunity puts in as the total dollar amount. Is there any way to override that? An estimated opportunity. Often we'll quote a variety of, divide this in 100, 200, 300, and adds all those up, and it gives the value 10 times what the expected opportunity is.
The only way you can do that is if you remember we talked about the line attributes, and if you grouped different sections. So if you gave your customer the option between 100, 200, and 300, you made those optional groups and then you made them exclusive. You could then pick basically which one you wanted to be exclusive and which one's selected, and then that would be the quote total, and that's what the opportunity is. So like let's say we gave our customer this option. We're going to say this is your first option.
We only wanted line 2 to be the opportunity. Just making it up.
What you would have to do is basically group the items together. So in this case we have these 3 items, so let's say we want to group this together, and that'll be option 1, this will be option 2. And then we can take these heading lines, right click and choose edit line attributes, and then we would choose optional yes, is selected. And anytime you do is selected and then you assign them to a group, it always takes, QuoteWorks automatically does the first one. But you can change that if you want, and I'm going to hit OK. And that's basically telling you here, it's saying, hey, you have multiple options, but we can only select one, so we're going to select the first one. And then, so you could even call this option 1 if you wanted to, or option 2, or whatever you wanted to call this. And then you'll see here, my price is just this group. So this $4,000 has been excluded, and then if I create the opportunity, it's going to use this.
I'm going to use that, why?
Because I set it as the selected option for the customer.
You can do that with one line.
Yes.
Would that also do that for the dashboard too, if you had multiples, or is it gonna group all of them together on the dashboard?
It should do it for the dashboard also, because the dashboard is using the document tool. Yeah. Pull that real quick. Document revisions. So if you've ever created a quote and customer came back to you and asked you to make an adjustment or make a change, you can use the revision icon here. So this will make an exact copy of your document, but it'll add that -01 that we talked about earlier in that Tools Options menu, or your AB if you're using the alpha instead of the numerical. So if I save this quote and it was AAA Q1001 and I created a revision, it would then become AAA Q1001-01. The next one would be -02, -03. So that's how you can kind of track revisions every time you make a change to the document. If you would like to view those revisions, you can click on View, Document Revisions, and it'll actually show you a list of all the revisions that you've created in QuoteWerks. So let's go ahead and we're going to save this quote. So now I have my document number of FLAQ 1362. So I sent this to the customer comes back with this, hey, can you make this change, can you make this change? So they said, you know, we only need 5 of this item, we only need 2 of this item, and we only need 1 of these. So I make all those changes, but I don't want to lose my original document because they might come back and say, oh, you know, quote me the original. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a revision. So I'm going to click Revision. And then I have the option to delete the previous. So if you just want to work on the latest version of the document, you can do that. You can delete the previous revision. I don't, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now it saves my changes as a new document. So it's FLAQ 1362-01. So that's my new document revision. If I go to View Document Revisions, I can see I have my original document here, and then my current document there. This is also where you can check any documents that have been converted to orders or invoices if you need to see those. Click on your Associated Documents tab, and you can actually convert you can see if it's been converted to an order or invoice, so you'll be able to see that. So again, under View, Document Revisions, you can view all the revisions for a specific document. The Associated Documents tab will show you all revisions plus any documents that have been converted to orders or invoices that have been associated.
Is there still considered an open document in your active quotes?
Yes, right now it is because I haven't converted it to an order. So when you convert it to an order, you do have the option to actually delete previous revisions. So that, or you can go in there and manually close them. It's up to you. Yeah, you can actually open them from here as well.
If you keep trying to keep track of quotes that are won and lost, what do you do with revisions that just got revised?
You can delete them if you like.
But if you don't want to delete them,
Then you can convert them to lost, or you could you could create a specific status for them if you wanted to. You could do that.
if you don't want to consider them lost, that would distort the theoretical.
Yeah, you could set a specific status if you wanted to, so you could go into that that document and go to the document status and call it, you know, revision or something like that, so it doesn't show up in your any of your reporting. That would be fine.
Is there any way to keep the revisions from deleting previous copies in your act? Like if I wanted to keep it, you know, it stamps
Yeah.
the original copy, and then I do a revision, but I want to keep the revision. QuoteWerks will keep the revision if I tell it not to delete it, but it seems like in ACT it will actually go in and overwrite anyway.
Yeah, I don't believe ACT, at least the API, has the ability for us to attach multiple documents to the opportunity. I think they only allow us to do the one. So we only attach basically whatever you just created or updated with the opportunity.
Okay.
Yeah. With like ConnectWise and AutoTask, they'll let us do multiple attachments, so we can do the revisions under the Attachments tab. But yeah, I think Axe API limits us to one document. That's my understanding.
Okay.
In Quota needs the old PDF file
Yeah.
in history, but Act doesn't do that.
It'll override. It'll change it. It changes what it's stamped.
Yeah.
The PDF file, you're talking about the source file for.
Well, the PDF will be there if you email it out in the history.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, he's talking about the QuoteWerks file, right? The DTF.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
document.
PDF, but the PDF, if you refer back to the PDF, you still have it.
That's a good point. So you could at least go to the history. It's not the most convenient thing, but it's there.
Right. Right. There's a workaround, but I
Yeah.
just didn't know if there was a setting to
Yeah,
allow it to do that.
my understanding is it's a limitation of their API where they only allow you to attach one file at a time.
Okay.
So finding and opening documents, this is fairly new in QuoteWerks. So if you're not on version 5, actually I think this is on version build 2. So if you may be on build 1, and you won't see this is on build 2. So this is our new search window. This is how you find existing documents in QuoteWerks. You can pretty much search for a document any way you'd like to. You can search by the document name, you can search by the document number, the status of the document, the sales rep that created it, or who was prepared by, the sales rep that owns it, a company, contact, document date, expiration date, last modified, specific item in the document. Really any way you want to look for a document, you can do that here. Up at the top, you can even specify active quotes, orders, invoices, or all documents. So active quotes, and again, back to our recurring theme of converting documents to orders or invoices, active quotes are going to be look for any document in QuoteWorks that's a quote and has a status of open. So an active quote means that it's the status of open and it's a quote in QuoteWorks. Quotes are any quotes, no matter what their status is. If it's won, lost, converted to order, doesn't matter what the status is. A quote is just a quote document. Same thing for orders and invoices. And then all will display all documents that you have in QuoteWorks, no matter what type of document it is, no matter what the status is. That's what shows up here under all. Now, once you've made your setting here, or your selection under the documents option, you can choose how you want to start building the filter. You can use multiple fields at once. So if you said, okay, show me all my quotes that are open, that were created, or that are created this month, and they're last modified today. You can drill down exactly on a specific document that you're looking for, or multiple documents. So you can use all these fields in combination with each other. On the right hand side, you have your shortcuts. These are going to be different shortcuts to kind of give you a start on drilling down for a document. So the My Active Quotes is going to show you all your active quotes for your sales rep by default. So any quotes that are listed as open for your sales rep. My Documents is going to change it to all documents, so any document that is owned by you in QuoteWorks, no matter what the expiration date is or anything, it's just going to be your documents in QuoteWorks. My Recent Documents will be just that, any documents that have been modified within the last 30 days. So you can see here it says all last 30 days. And you can build on this, so you can change filters in here as you use these shortcuts, or just to help you kind of get there quicker. All Active Quotes will show all active quotes no matter who the sales rep is, so it'll be for all sales reps. Now this is dependent on your security settings. If you don't have security clearance to view another user's documents, they're not going to show up here. It'll just be your documents and any other users you have access to. All documents, same thing as My Documents, it just changes the sales rep to all. And again, based on your security settings to view those specific documents. And then All Recent Documents, same thing, all documents within the last 30 days for every sales rep in QuoteWorks. So we actually simplified the search. It's actually a little easier to get to it now. You can kind of find your documents. You can also see that once you've found a document, you can click on Open, or you can also delete it if you have access to from this window. If you use the custom fields or some of the other fields and you want to search by those, click on the More tab, and that will let you search using one of the custom fields or some of the other fields. You know, if you use like a customer PO number that you need a reference, you can search that way as well.
Supersede, what is that?
If you had created a revision, so if you want to see the other revisions associated with it, if like the document was superseded by another revision. Okay. Any questions about the searching window? Pretty straightforward. All templates. So we talked about this earlier about creating the template in QuoteWerks. This is where you can modify those templates. So we showed you how to save them, we showed you how to create them and how to use them, but we didn't show you how to, maybe you just need to make a change for it. Maybe an item is no longer available, or you need to add a product or service to it. This is where you can get there. So if you click on your file open or just your open window, click on the templates option. This will show you all the templates that you've created in QuoteWerks, and then you can come in here and you can modify or delete them as needed. So this is where you'll make those changes. And then your merge documents, you probably won't use this unless you have remotes, but this will let you pull in the documents from like ConnectWise, Autotask, Salesforce, even Act, Goldmine. If you have remote users, you can basically run a sync through those CRM systems, and then any merge remote documents can be sent here. So you'll actually see a list of those. The last thing I wanted to mention is going to be the audit trail. So we kind of touched on this earlier. So if you need to see kind of who was the last person to do something, who was the last one to work on or make a change to a document, you can click on File, Properties. And this is going to have all the events saved for that document in QuoteWerks. And then you'll see here, if you remember, we had set up these different macros in our tools options. So we can see this sales rep saved the document with this total. Then you can see this sales rep saved a revision with this document total. So you can just kind of go through and see kind of what's changed, what the customer's done, all that information. So you can kind of keep track of exactly what's happening with this document. QuoteWerks can also create the backup file, the audit trail backup file. So if anytime a change is made, QuoteWerks can actually, you can see here, they can keep track of those backup files for those major events. I think the events are saving, deleting, something else. But if, again, if you remember in that tools options menu that we talked about, there's a checkbox that said enable audit trail backup files. That's what this is talking about, so that's what this is referencing here. But yeah, this is a really nice feature that if someone said, hey, I didn't make this change, then you can actually go see if they did make that change or not, or see who did make that change. So that's available as well.
What else do you have in your backup file, so your repository where you're pointing? Like, you know, it'd be nice to be able to set for example, a write only, or like I can put the files in, but I can't delete them. You know, so in case my system gets compromised, somebody wipes out whatever data stores, I can still recover.
I think it's just a default.
Is it like an FTP or an SFTP?
It's going to be a default QuoteWerks file type. You might be able to change it in the INI setting. We're just interested in there. Do you know if it's possible to change where the audit trail backup files are saved, or is that hard coded?
That's hard coded.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright. And last couple things under the file menu that we didn't get to touch on yet. So file new, that's obviously going to create a new blank document, but this is also where you access your templates. So if you've never clicked on file new before, this is what it's going to look like when you click on it. It'll ask you if you want to create a blank quote, order, or invoice, or if you want to select a template. So if you need to get back to your templates, if you want to use a template that you created previously, then you'll click on the file new option. File open will bring you just to your search window. It's actually the same option here. And then you'll have your file save, which is obviously the same thing as clicking on your icon there. And then your file save as, so if you want to save the quote with a specific document name or something like that, you can do file save as well. File save as template, we touched on that. That's how you save the template in QuoteWerks. You can also do save as revision. So as we're going through those, you'll kind of realize that we already have these toolbar shortcuts for that. That's what these shortcuts are. They're all the different menu options here. So you can choose which one you want to do. So just kind of let you navigate around QuoteWerks a little faster by using these shortcuts instead of having to go to the menu option each time. Inserting a document, if you have a quote and maybe you need to merge basically like two quotes together to one to a customer, you can actually insert an existing document into another document. You can also insert a template So if you created a quote for customer and then they said, hey, can you also send us this? And then you realize that, hey, I have a template for that. You can actually add a template to an existing quote as well. You can basically look it up by the document name, the document number, or a company. Usually the document number is going to be the easiest. And then you put in the document number, and then you can choose which document you want to insert, and it'll add that document to your existing. Remove those. So again, that's file, insert document, and then you can choose either by document number, name, or company. Like I said, document number is the easiest to get to the exact document that you're looking for. You also have the option to refresh the prices of the items that are inserted. So if you're pulling from a template and you haven't updated the pricing lately, you can check this box, and when you're pulling those items in, as long as they still exist in your product database or a product database, they'll update the pricing when they're added to the quote for you. And then you can also choose if you want it to go at the end of the document, or in my case, if I leave it here, it's just going to insert it at the top. File duplicate, we talked about that earlier as well. That's if you need to make a copy of a document, just click on file duplicate and that'll make an exact copy. So everything's going to be exactly the same. The only difference is if you do file duplicate, we're not going to have a document, we're not going to save it yet. So it'll even have the same document number, but when you hit save, you'll be able to change it.
So if you want to create a template, you can duplicate it and save it as a template.
Do that? Yeah. Because once you've made a copy of it, you can do file, save as template that way. Yeah, you could definitely do that. Alright.
Why else would you put duplicate?
If you sell a lot of the same items on a regular basis to the same customers, a lot of people offer the same services, across the board. Instead of having to re-quote them out every time.
Gives them a new quote number.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can just keep copying it.
Okay.
It's similar to templates. It's just a little bit different because you're not you're making an exact copy of everything, whereas the template is kind of like, hey, here's your products and services, but everything else is kind of like a blank slate. So the file duplicate makes a copy of everything that's in the document. So if you have anything on the linked resources tab, that comes over. Your customer contact information comes over, everything. Alright, so I think this is a good point to take a break since lunch is here. So we'll go ahead and we'll break for lunch.